Yeah, you have every right to feel frustrated. There comes a point where you need to pause and ask yourself, what am I actually doing? Why are you spending your limited time building someone else's version of success while putting your own life on hold? If you've had that feeling sitting quietly in the back of your mind, you're not alone. The reality is that most people are taught to approach life in ways that never lead to genuine fulfillment. The good news is that changing your direction doesn't require changing everything. It starts with changing the way you think, and that shift begins with a few intentional actions. In this video, we're going to walk through 5 practical steps that can help you take back control of your life. First, get curious and question the assumptions you've accepted. Second, reconnect with your core values. Third, create a clear vision for the life you actually want. Fourth, design an ideal week that reflects that vision. And finally, build the daily habits that make it real. Let's begin. The first step is to become curious and question what truly creates a meaningful life. Author Audre Lorde once wrote, "If I didn't define myself for myself, I would be crunched into other people's fantasies for me and eaten alive." That idea gets to the heart of this conversation. If you never stop to question the expectations placed on you, you'll end up living a life designed by someone else. Creating your own path requires the ability to step back and ask honest questions. Is the direction you're heading actually right for you? Or are you simply following a script you've been handed? This isn't easy because from the time we're born, we're shaped by our families, schools, culture, and society. Those influences can be valuable, but they can also pull you away from what genuinely matters to you. Breaking free from automatic thinking starts with curiosity. Instead of accepting everything at face value, learn to ask why. Strip ideas down to their fundamentals and figure out what actually holds true for your own life. One important point: curiosity is not the same as rejecting everything. The goal isn't to argue with every belief or rebel against every expectation. That's just another distraction. The real goal is to search honestly for what is true for you. Stay open to wisdom, guidance, and ideas from people who have valuable experience. Outside perspectives matter. They can help you see things you might otherwise miss. So this isn't a call to reject the world. It's an invitation to explore it with an open, thoughtful mind. As we continue, you'll gain more clarity about what you're really looking for and what kind of life you're trying to build. For now, simply start strengthening your curiosity. Don't automatically assume that every expectation placed on you is in your best interest. The hope is that, within your own circumstances, you'll begin creating a path that reflects who you truly are. That's where a genuinely fulfilling life begins. Once you've started questioning the outside world, it's time to look inward. The second step is to reconnect with your core values. Motivational speaker Tony Robbins said, "Setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible." But goals only create lasting fulfillment when they're aligned with what matters most to you. Your core values act like an internal compass. They help you make better decisions, prioritize your time, and stay aligned with the person you want to become. These values aren't just words. They're the deeper principles that make you feel fully alive. They usually reveal themselves during moments when you feel energized, authentic, and completely engaged in what you're doing. Some people discover values like creativity, freedom, adventure, service, authenticity, or connection. The specific words aren't what matter most. What matters is what those values actually mean to you and how they make you feel. Think of 3 moments in your life when you felt your absolute best. Times when you felt energized, fulfilled, and genuinely alive. For me, one of those moments was teaching a college class about authentic communication. Now look at each experience and ask yourself which values were present. Go beyond surface-level words like success or passion. Dig deeper and identify the qualities that made those moments meaningful. In my example, the experience reflected values like educating others, empowering people, sharing meaningful knowledge, and making a positive impact. Next, take your top 3 values and describe what they would actually look like in everyday life. How would you know you're living in alignment with them? What emotions would you feel? What behaviours would naturally show up? For me, living those values means having people who genuinely want to learn from me, continuing to improve my expertise, offering something meaningful to others, and feeling useful, compassionate, and humble throughout the process. The more clearly you define your values, the easier it becomes to recognize when your life is aligned with them and when it isn't. When your decisions are guided by your own values instead of other people's expectations, you naturally gain more energy, purpose, and motivation to build a life that feels authentically yours. The third step is to create a clear vision for the life you want. Viktor Frankl once wrote, "What people truly need is not a life without tension, but the pursuit of a meaningful goal, a purpose they freely choose." That idea captures the next step perfectly. Now it's time to take the core values you've uncovered and imagine the kind of life they naturally lead toward. Picture a future where, looking back, you could honestly say you lived well, a life that reflected your purpose, your priorities, and the person you genuinely wanted to become. Creating that vision does something powerful. It quiets the fear that a different way of living isn't realistic. Instead of chasing a vague feeling, you begin building a destination you can actually see. When you have a clear North Star, it's much easier to evaluate your progress. You can regularly ask yourself, am I moving closer to the life I want or drifting away from it? One simple exercise that can help is creating a vision map. Find a table, a wall, or even a whiteboard and grab a stack of sticky notes. Place one note in the center that says, "My ideal life." From there, begin adding notes around it with everything you want your future life to include. Write down experiences, qualities, relationships, accomplishments, environments, or anything that feels meaningful to you. As you continue, you'll start noticing patterns. Certain themes will naturally group together. Organize those ideas into categories and let the map evolve over time. Come back to it regularly. Add new ideas. Remove ones that no longer fit. Refine your vision as you grow. Over time, this becomes more than just a collection of notes. It becomes a living blueprint that gradually shapes the way you think, the decisions you make, and the opportunities you notice every day. As you imagine creating something like this, what ideas come to mind? If you've ever used an exercise that helped you clarify your vision for life, share it in the comments. Your experience might help someone else who's trying to figure out their own direction. Once your long-term vision is clear, the next step is bringing it down to everyday life. The fourth step is to design your ideal week. Poet Carl Sandburg once said, "Time is the coin of your life. It is the only coin you have, and only you can determine how it will be spent. Be careful lest you let other people spend it for you." Think about that for a moment. Take out a blank weekly calendar and begin sketching what your ideal week would actually look like using the values and vision you've already identified. The only rule is that it needs to fit your real life. Ask yourself what a healthy balance between responsibilities and personal well-being would actually look like. How much time would you devote to creative work, family, exercise, rest, learning, or simply enjoying life? What small routines, like a morning walk, reading for 20 minutes, or having a quiet cup of coffee, help you recharge? How will you invest in the people you care about while still protecting the boundaries you need? Be as specific as you can. Look for the places where your week feels crowded, stressful, or draining. Notice where your own needs are consistently being pushed aside. Then ask yourself how you can add small moments each day that bring your schedule back into alignment with the life you're trying to create. Just like your vision map, you can keep this weekly plan somewhere visible. Review it often, make adjustments. Let it evolve as your life changes. The more familiar this schedule becomes, the more naturally your daily choices begin to support it. Now that you know where you're headed and how you want your week to feel, the final step is turning that direction into consistent action. The fifth step is to identify the daily habits that move you forward. Stephen Covey said, "You'll never change your life until you change something you do daily." The secret of your success is found in your daily routine. Once you know your core values and have a clear vision for the future, you know two important things: where you are today and where you want to go. The bridge between those 2 points is built through your daily habits. Small, intentional actions repeated consistently are what gradually move you toward the life you've chosen. Without those systems, it's easy to fall back into autopilot. We naturally drift toward other people's priorities, outside expectations, and whatever feels most urgent in the moment. Before long, we're right back to living a life driven by external pressure instead of internal purpose. Daily habits protect you from that drift. The key is choosing habits wisely. Focus on a manageable number that you can realistically sustain over time instead of trying to change everything at once. And because you've already designed your ideal week, you can now place those habits directly into your schedule. You'll immediately see where they fit, where adjustments need to be made, and how each small action supports the bigger life you're creating. At that point, you're no longer just thinking about change. You're building it. One day at a time. Your habits should always support the future you're trying to create. If your vision includes becoming healthier and stronger, then your daily routine should naturally include consistent exercise, nutritious meals, and quality sleep. If your goal is to build long-term wealth through real estate, your daily actions might involve setting aside money for investments, studying the market, networking with experienced investors, or attending local real estate events. The specifics will be different for everyone, but the principle stays the same. This is where your vision becomes practical. You've already defined the bigger picture. Now your daily habits become the system that steadily moves you toward it. Maybe you've spent years living according to expectations that were never truly your own. That's okay. The important thing is realizing that it's never too late to take ownership of your life. And taking ownership doesn't mean throwing everything away or starting from scratch. You've already gained valuable experiences that help make you who you are today. Now it's about building on that foundation with greater intention, more clarity, and a stronger sense of purpose. Small, consistent adjustments can completely change the direction of your life over time. That's what this channel is all about, helping you create a life that feels authentic, meaningful, and genuinely fulfilling. If this video gave you something to think about, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, your experiences, or any habits that have helped you move closer to the life you want. Your insights could be exactly what someone else in this community needs to hear. And if you're ready to take the next step, check out the next video, where we'll explore powerful daily habits that can help you build lasting momentum and create meaningful change.